The vault opens. Welcome back. I am the archivist. Every week I open a file that was never meant to be found. Tonight, we open another one. The file reads, Strange Crimes, Documented. Some crimes follow a pattern: theft, violence, deception. The motives are clear: greed, revenge, power. But then there are the other ones, the cases that make investigators stop and ask, why would anyone do this? Tonight, the archivist opens 5 criminal cases so bizarre that if they were fiction, no one would believe them. But they are not fiction. They are real, documented, and in most cases, still unsolved. Crime 1, the Great Emu War, 1932, Australia. This is not technically a crime, but it is one of the strangest military operations in recorded history, and it involved birds. After World War I, thousands of Australian military veterans were given farmland in Western Australia. They planted wheat, and then, in 1932, 20,000 emus migrated into the farming region. Emus are large, flightless birds, nearly 6 feet tall, and they began destroying the wheat crops. The farmers asked the Australian government for help. The government responded by sending the military, with machine guns, to fight the emus. This became known as the Great Emu War. Soldiers armed with Lewis guns were deployed to eliminate the emu population. The emus won. Despite having machine guns, the soldiers could not effectively hunt the emus. The birds were too fast, too spread out, and surprisingly tactical. They would split into small groups, making them harder to target. After weeks of failed attempts and significant ammunition waste, the military withdrew. The emus continued destroying crops. The operation was considered such an embarrassment that for years the Australian government barely acknowledged it happened. One soldier later said, "The emus have won. We are withdrawing." The archivist notes, this remains one of the only documented cases of a modern military losing a war to flightless birds. Crime 2. The Salami Slicing Scam, 1993. A computer programmer discovers a way to steal millions of dollars, 1 cent at a time. In the early days of digital banking, a programmer working at a financial institution realized something. When interest is calculated on bank accounts, the results often include fractions of a cent. The system would round these fractions, usually down. He programmed the system to redirect those fractions of a cent into a secret account he controlled. One person loses half a cent, another loses a third of a cent. Individually, the amounts are so small no one would ever notice. But when you do this across hundreds of thousands of accounts, the fractions add up fast. This type of fraud became known as salami slicing. Thin slices so small you do not notice them missing. Over months he accumulated hundreds of thousands of dollars. He was eventually caught when an audit noticed unexplained transfers. But the method he used was so clever that it inspired countless similar schemes. And according to financial security experts, some version of this scam is likely still happening today. The archivist notes, stealing money 1 cent at a time across 1 million people is technically 1 million separate thefts. But prosecuting 1 million crimes for 1 cent each is legally absurd. Some criminals understood this loophole. Crime 3. The Phantom Barber of Mississippi, 1942. A small town in Mississippi is terrorized by an intruder who breaks into homes at night. He does not steal, he does not hurt anyone, he cuts their hair while they sleep. The first victim was a young girl who woke up to find chunks of her hair missing. Then it happened again. Different house, different victim. Then again, always at night, always while the victim was asleep. No forced entry, no noise, no evidence left behind, just missing hair. Panic spread through the town. People began sleeping with weapons, locking every door and window. Some families stayed awake in shifts to keep watch. The police had no leads, no suspects, no motive. Why would someone risk breaking into homes just to cut hair? Then one night, a man was caught in a home holding scissors. He was arrested. The town believed the case was solved, but it was not him. The hair cuttings continued after his arrest. The real phantom barber was never caught. The crimes stopped as suddenly as they started. After several months, the intruder simply vanished. No explanation was ever found. To this day, no one knows who the phantom barber was or why he did it. The archivist has found no similar case in criminal history. This remains one of the strangest unsolved crime sprees in America. Crime 4. The Butter Bandit. 2011. A man in Iowa steals $18,000 worth of butter. Not money, not electronics, butter. Over a period of several months, a man systematically stole butter from grocery stores across Iowa. Not small amounts, industrial quantities. He would walk into stores with modified bags and containers designed specifically for transporting butter without being detected. Sometimes he would steal entire pallets. Security footage showed him calmly walking out of stores with bags full of nothing but butter. When he was finally caught, police found his home filled with butter, refrigerators full of butter, freezers packed with butter, butter stacked in closets. He had no clear explanation for why he was hoarding butter. He was not reselling it, he was not using it for any business, he just wanted butter. The case baffled investigators. Butter theft on this scale had never been documented. He was prosecuted and convicted. But the question no one could answer was, why butter? The archivist notes, of all the things a person could choose to steal, butter is perhaps the strangest. And $18,000 worth suggests this was not impulsive. It was planned, methodical, and completely inexplicable. Crime 5. The Lover's Lane Shoe Thief. 1970s Oregon. For years, couples parking in secluded areas around Oregon would return to their cars to find one shoe missing. Not both shoes, just one, from one person. The thief never took anything else, no money, no valuables, just a single shoe. Victims reported no signs of forced entry, no confrontation. They would simply realize later that one shoe was gone. Sometimes the shoe was taken while they were briefly away from the car. Sometimes it disappeared while they were inside the car. The thefts were so strange that most victims did not even report them immediately. Who steals one shoe? Police eventually identified a pattern, dozens of cases across multiple years, all in Lover's Lane areas, all single shoes. The thief was never caught. The crimes eventually stopped. But years later, something strange happened. A hiker found a remote cabin in the woods filled with hundreds of single shoes, all left shoes, organized on shelves, each shoe carefully preserved. The cabin was abandoned. No one ever claimed it. No one was ever arrested. The archivist has reviewed this case extensively. The level of planning required to steal hundreds of shoes over years without being caught suggests this was not random. It was compulsion, ritual, and whoever did it simply stopped one day and walked away. Before the archivist closes this file, one final entry. These 5 cases share something in common. None of them make sense. The motives are unclear. The methods are bizarre. and in most cases the criminals were never caught or never explained why they did it. Traditional criminal profiling relies on motive, greed, anger, revenge. But what do you do when the motive is nothing? When someone commits a crime simply because they are compelled to do something no rational person would do? The archivist leaves you with this question. If these crimes seem impossible to understand, how many others are happening right now that are so strange? No one even recognizes them as crimes yet. The file is closing, but before it does, the archivist asks you to think about that. The vault closes, for now. If you are new here, subscribe. Every file we open is one they never wanted you to read. I will see you in the next vault.